day, everybody, and welcome to Let's Talk, the Todd Worsham Show. Good day, everybody. Thanks for joining me again. Uh, I know I haven't had any guests on in a little while. It's just the season, I guess. It's really hard to get people on right now. Everybody's busy with their families in summer and all that kind of good stuff. But I am working on it, so hopefully we'll get some more good interviews coming in. So this week's episode is titled Our Justice System. And just to be clear, this is a non-political, non-politics. This is just by reading articles and just watching our country, and it's not just our country, although I'm not really going to talk about things elsewhere, maybe a little bit, but I might ADHD off on something like that. But this is mainly about the U.S. itself. It's not that they don't care about the rest of the world. It's just that I believe we need to clean up our own backyard and fix our own problems first. So that's just doesn't mean we can't help other people, but I just believe that we should clean up our own poo-poo first. Anyway, so the first subject we're going to talk about is everybody knows what's going on with Trump today. Yes, he's today's May 29th, 2024. So today, his judge gave the instructions to the jurors, and I just could not believe this when I couldn't believe it when I heard it. I mean, when I read this article, well, it's not just one article; it's all over the news right now. But when I read what this judge told the jurors, I pray and pray and pray that these jurors don't do things politically and they do things per our justice system and per the law. So this judge tells the jurors that you all don't need to agree on the crime, only that Donald committed a crime. So now think about this. Now, let's just say that you got pulled over, you got a speeding ticket, and blah, 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 blah. The paperwork comes in the mail a while longer. Your significant other opens it up and says, oh, you got a speeding ticket. Well, I'm paying the bills right now. I think I'm just going to pay that fine for you. So your significant other does that. They pay the fine. It all goes through. And then you realize, oh, well, I owe you this money. So I'm going to write a check and I'm going to pay you. And in your checkbook, you write the little notes, what you paid, what it was for, and all that kind of stuff. But for some reason, you didn't annotate it correctly. And not only that, you don't even remember if you're the one that even put it in there. It might have been your significant other, but you don't know. So next thing you know, you get arrested, and the police tell you that when you paid your fine, you paid it illegally. That the money came out of the wrong account, or it came out of this account, or it was this or that, or whatever. But you didn't even know it got paid because your significant other paid it. And you're just doing the right thing by paying them back and not thinking nothing of it, right? And I know some people are going to say it's a little bit different than Trump because it was an NDA. But NDAs are signed, I would want to venture to guess, thousands a day. And the only reason why I know that is because I've had to sign them. I have a lot of people I work with in the aviation industry that has had to sign them for different locations that you work at, or for different projects that you work on that are either top secret or they're proprietary information or whatever. But and I guess it'd be okay if I throw this out there. But like when I worked at Northrop, I had to sign an NDA. And I had to sign a proprietary disclosure, and I had to sign like a bunch of government documents about that. So anyway, so your significant other does that, makes the payment, you pay them back. Next thing you know, the police are on your door and they're handcuffing you and they're taking you to jail. And then they process you and then they let you go. And then you get a court date. So you get into court and you're trying to figure out why you're in there in the first place because you're not really sure why you're in there. And then the district attorney says that, well, you falsified documents when you paid this ticket off. And you're thinking, well, what did I falsify? Well, in the check ledger, it says that this, but really it was that or this or that. And you wrote down the wrong information, or somebody did. We don't know who wrote it, but somebody wrote down the wrong information. And we've just decided to incarcerate you, arrest you, and put you in court because we think that you did something that we can't prove that you did, but we're going to take you to court anyways. And to remind you, this is all for a misdemeanor. It's not like it's a violent felony charge or grand theft auto or embezzling money or any of that kind of stuff. So anyway, so you get through this trial, you get all the way to the end of the trial, and then the judge tells the jurors, you don't have to agree on a crime. Okay, so what was the crime? Well, falsified. Falsified what? You can't prove that that I falsified anything. So what? I don't get it. So then the jurors can just go rogue and just do whatever they choose to do, running on emotions and running on all this other garbage, because whether you like Trump or not, it doesn't matter. It's not about that. It's not about feelings and emotions and all that kind of stuff. It's about the law. The law. The law is supposed to be emotionless. It's supposed to be there for everyone. It's there to protect us. Justice should be blind. And that's why that's why the scales are balanced. That's the way that our system, the United States of America, is supposed to work. So you go through trial, you do your due diligence, you put up your defense, and at that time the jurors decide whether or not, beyond a reasonable doubt, that you committed that crime. So now you're sitting in court and no one can tell you what your crime is. No one. Because they can't give a specific statute or a specific code or that I haven't seen or read or anything. They're just alleging that something happened for something because it's not about the hush money. It's not about the NDA. It's all about how somebody signs something off in a ledger, a checkbook ledger. That's what this is about. So picture yourself in court over this, because it can happen now. If this goes through and these jurors convict Mr. Trump, this sets a whole new precedence of convictions for people who are innocent. This opens up a floodgate for a lot of bad things to happen. A lot of bad things. And more than likely, these bad things are going to happen to good people. And we'll get into this in a minute. But it seems like the criminals, they're the ones holding the scales on Mother Justice, because I don't want to get into some other stuff because you're going to think I'm some right-wing crazy nut, but I don't look at things that way. I don't look at things right-wing or left-wing. I look at things that they make sense. If they're within the law, are they without the law? Are they presidents? I like to look at everything, in the picture as a whole, and then try to come up with some conclusions or try to do this. But I don't just come out of the hole and, well, Biden everything. I don't care. Biden is the best, and he does this and that. And then, you look at his record, and his record can't back up, well, I like him, but he sucks. Okay, well, I got subordinates like that at work. I like them, but they suck. And there's nothing I can do about it. So at any rate, not fair. Um, and I'm not just saying that. I'm saying that because if you stand back and you look and you just take the name Donald Trump out of the picture and you put anybody's name in there, hell, let's put Robert De Niro's name in there. Let's. I'm sure he signed. I guarantee you, he signed NDAs. So he's out there flapping his jaws. So maybe we ought to investigate some of his hanky panky stuff. See what I'm saying? I mean, everybody makes mistakes, but to get crucified for something that's completely unintentional and completely just, I don't know, it's out there. I don't know. But anyway, so you probably know my thoughts on, or my where I stand on that. It's not so much that I'm a MAGA person, and it's not so much that I'm a Republican or a Democrat or libertarian or constitutionalist or whatever. It doesn't really matter. I'm an American first, and that's the way I see things. I see things as my country is number one first, and the rest of it will just fall into place and just deal with it. So this kind of goes back to, I remember, I don't remember the year, and not to be non-political, but I mean, I got to say names just to give you a time frame. But during the Obama administration, I'm sure y'all remembered Obamacare. Remember Nancy Pelosi? Don't read it, just pass it. We'll read it later. Would you do that? Would you get into some type of contract that would affect your income, that would affect your life, would affect your health care, would affect your payroll, would affect your country, would affect everything, and not even read the document first before you signed it? Now, I know it's one thing like when you download an app and it says I acknowledge or I accept, and I can guarantee you that 99.999% of people never open that up and never look at that and never read that. Okay. That's a little bit different than Obamacare. Obamacare directly affected a lot of people. In fact, it affected me personally. I had a roommate that was on Obamacare, and when it finally got kicked into gear, he died. He could not afford his medication, and I tried to help him out as much as I could, but I didn't know that he had. I didn't know that he quit taking his medication. I didn't know he couldn't afford it. When his Obamacare kicked in, his medical prescriptions went from like $300 a month to like $800 a month, and then he was only getting like $1,200 a month on disability, and then he had to pay some other fees and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, Obamacare just, and I watched it. I mean, this isn't a story that I heard from somebody or read. This man was living in my home and died 3 months later after Obamacare kicked in the state of Arizona. He could not afford his medication to keep himself alive. I watched it. Now, he did have some other issues that contributed to that, but I believe the overwhelming depression and anxiety of not being able to afford his heart medication, I believe he probably stressed out and died like that. I mean, I don't know, I was at work when he passed away, but and I didn't know any of it. He never even said anything to me. So Obamacare, they couldn't pass it through legislation like it should have been. Nancy kept trying to tell everybody to vote for it, kept trying to tell, us to vote for it. And I was probably one of the stupid people who actually opened it up and started reading the law. And it didn't make sense to me. I could totally see it was a money laundering system. I could totally see that it was just nothing but transference of wealth and money. It was just a big, huge scam. And And I tried to warn everybody because I had a few friends that they voted for Obama strictly because of Obamacare. They hated Obama. They couldn't stand any other thing he did. They couldn't stand him personally. They couldn't stand his policies, nothing. But they voted for him because of Obamacare. And because it didn't get passed through in the first term, he got it passed through, guess what? Through the justice system. He got it passed through the courts as a mandate, which we all know now because it went through the court system again and it got overturned because government mandates are against the Constitution, period. They are not legal. They are not lawful. And I can't remember all the specifics and I can't remember how it got pushed through, but it got pushed through. A horrible, horrible thing. So my point on that is the government used the justice system instead of the legislative system like it should. And that's just completely wrong. That just wrecks the whole system. It just throws a whole wrench in it. And the Constitution and our three forms of branches are not geared, they're not wired to work that way. They're that way to protect us. So one or two can't take over. There's always got to be one. That's why there's three. So always one can kind of mediate and kind of put the other two in order. But politics today isn't about law and order. It's mainly about I know you can call me a conspiracy freak, but in my opinion, it's all about money laundering. The new Green Deal and all this climate warming or climate change and global warming, all that stuff has laundered, I want to say, probably close to about $6 to $7 trillion. And that money has not come back to the people. It has not stimulated anything. It has not produced anything. We're still on fossil fuels, and we're going to be still on fossil fuels for a while. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't believe in alternatives, because I do. But electric cars and batteries are not the way, and they're not going to be. I mark my words. If you pull up this YouTube video 20 years from now, listen to Todd. Unless we get the battery technology down, because we don't have it. We're nowhere near it. Lithium's bad. It's bad to mine. It's bad for people. It's hazardous waste. It's all around bad. And I don't understand why we're not using nuclear. I mean, it's the easiest. I mean, we already have ways to dispose of the waste. It's pretty clean. There's no emissions. I just don't understand why we're not using the obvious things. So now I do agree to get off fossil fuels. I do agree with that. I believe we could go to hydrogen, or we could go to hydrogen, alcohol, not alcohol. I can't remember the other one. There's another fuel that I think Toyota is creating right now, new type of engine. But I do believe that fossil fuels are going to get weeded out, and they should. They really should. We should not be polluting our planet. But so, what kind of damage are we doing to the planet mining the lithium? We're doing damage to the people, to the children who are mining it. We're doing damage to the ecosystem of the planet. We're creating hazardous waste, again, that's destroying the ecosystem of the planet. So, yeah, it may not be giving off CO2, but it does a lot more damage. And not only that, but a lot of the scientists that I've researched and a lot of things that I've researched about CO2 and the levels and a whole bunch of things, regarding the CO2 on our planet, there is absolutely zero. I mean, zero proof that CO2 is causing any type of climate change, any type of global warming. They have zero information to connect that. Now, again, if you want to use Google, don't use page 1 or 2. Go back to page 405. I don't know if you're going to find any more of those scientists on YouTube anymore. YouTube does a pretty good job of scrubbing things, but things do get through. That's where I did a lot of my research before the COVID. You could do a lot better research. COVID kind of pretty much took away our freedom of speech rights and pretty much turned us into a country where our words and our thoughts are being controlled or being monitored, and it's not good. So anyway, yeah, Obamacare was not good. And again, it was passed through the judicial system instead of the legislative system like it should have been. And where's it going to go next? I don't know. So here's another part of our legislative system that's really, really, really bad. And this is the part where you, as an individual, can actually change this and make things better and make things safer for all of us. I know we like to blame presidents and we like to blame governors and we like to blame. Well, the blame goes back on us, you, all of you, including me. If you are not doing your research on your judges and your district attorneys, you're doing yourself and your community a disfavor. You're hurting your community. And it is rough. It's difficult to, because there's especially the judges. Oh my God, there's so many. The last election, I went to start doing that a little bit late. And I don't think I even got through like 2 or 3 of them. There was so much stuff. And I should have just started with the district attorneys. But anyway, I would recommend starting with the district attorneys in your area and your communities and really research them and find out what their record is. And again, you don't got to be political. This doesn't have to be a left and a right thing. It has to be a right and a wrong thing. Is the district attorneys that are in your community, are they prosecuting crimes properly and at a good rate to protect the citizens? That's what their job is. Their job is to protect the citizens of their community. Are they doing that? Research it. Find out. I know it's a little bit difficult, but I don't know about you, but I'd rather take some time out of my life and help my community than have drugs, homelessness, and crime ridden all over my community. I'm done with that. I'm going to I'm going to continue to research these people before I vote. I mean, there's a lot of things, a lot of people that you vote for. I mean, like the president, you already know. I mean, everybody knows all that stuff. But the district attorneys and the judges, really nobody knows about. And they're these people that are working in the background and you don't know what they're doing. Wake up. Find out what they're doing. And make a sound decision on if they're doing the right things for your community. Like, again, I can't say this enough. This isn't left or right wing. I was a Democrat. I mean, when you're a Democrat, you don't want crime in your city. You don't want people breaking into houses. You don't want people stealing cars. You don't want all this crap. Right? So wake up, America. When you get your little voting book, day 1 or day 2, start your research. Start with the district attorneys and go into the judges, look them all up. Because the issue that I'm seeing right now, it's not too bad in my state in Arizona, but I know it's horrific in Michigan, Probably not so good in Georgia and some other states. Um, but the TV's telling you that crime's down. And then they start showing you these statistics. And then you got all these people, these left wing nuts running around town telling everybody that crime is down, when yet look at how many people are getting mugged and getting killed, and how many cars are getting jacked, and how many stores are being robbed. And all, I mean, you see that every day on TV. But then your elected officials keep telling you that crime is down when your eyeballs see something completely different. So wake up. Walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, probably a duck. Probably a duck. So do your due diligence. Look these people up. Look up their records, I should say. I don't care about all their whatever hanky panky or affairs, or I really don't care about stuff like that, drugs, affairs, and all that kind of crap. I don't care what people do in their personal lives. What I do care is how their decisions affect our country and our communities. I care. So the reality is crime is not down. And that's all you hear day after day after day. Crime is down. Inflation is down. Your wages are up. Now, I don't know where in the fuck these people get their numbers from or what world they're living in. But I can tell you, as a normal, everyday, blue collar, middle class person, that none of those statements are true in my world. Absolutely zero. None of them. My grocery bill alone has gone up probably $300 to $400 a month. Just that. My wages have been stagnant for, let's see, 2 years, going on 3. My wages have been stagnant. I have not gotten a raise. Actually, it's not that me personally hasn't gotten a raise, but my company has not given out raises because inflation has affected a lot of the companies that we normally do maintenance for, and has affected that part of aviation that we maintain as a whole. It's the inflation rate and prices and all that kind of stuff have affected those type of people. And they're not middle class like me, you know. They're wealthy people, and it's even affected them. So what does that tell you? You know, I don't know where these politicians are living at. I mean, I listen to my president tell me this stuff, and I look at my bank account, and I look at my bills, and I look at my grocery bills, and I look at my gas bill, I look at my energy bills, I look at everything that I'm putting out, and I'm literally putting out right now, I did the math not too long ago, I'm literally putting out almost $650, $650, $700 more a month. Okay, we'll do the math on that. That's $8,400 more a year. Now I know a lot of you out there that says, well, that's, only 8,400. Well, okay. So over 10 years, that's what, $90,000? I mean, what could you do with $7,400 a year? I'm sure you could do a lot with that. It is money. It's and for a lot of us, it's a lot of money. It truly is. It's life changing. So yeah, since the pandemic, my savings account has not done so well over the last, actually, not since the pandemic, but since the last couple of years. I'm not saving like I used to. Not at all. It's a lot harder. It's a lot harder to save the same amount of money. And I've had to cut back on things. So, all right, everybody. I want to thank you for joining the show today, and Hope it wasn't too political. So that's our justice system. And remember, you can make a difference. We can all make the difference. And I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. I don't do Democrat, Republican. I hate them both. I can't stand the two-party system. Myself personally, I would get rid of it. But our justice system really needs to get in order. And it's going to take all of us to do that. And we need to start by research and voting. All right, everybody. See you next Thursday. Have a great day, and thank you for watching.